Hello, thank you very much for joining us today for a roundtable event hosted by Juniper Research on our communications as a platform research. Today we're going to be discussing a few of our findings from the CPaaS report we've done earlier this year, as well as a discussion with some leading thought leaders within the CPaaS space. Just go over the agenda. First of all, we will go through some introductions from our special guests here today, from 4 leading CPaaS vendors. I'll then, briefly go over Juniper Research's future outlook for CPaaS as an independent research house, where we feel the CPaaS market is going to be headed, and why we feel that the CPaaS market is one that's primed for disruption, moving forward, and what the services on offer now and in the future hold in store for brands and enterprises. So just to begin, some of the guys that will be having our discussion today. Firstly, I am Sam Barker, Head of Analytics and Forecasting at Juniper Research. I head up our telecommunications and communications research portfolio, and moving forward, I am the author of the CPaaS report. And moving on, Fredrik, if you'd like to do a quick introduction.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sam. I'm Fredrik. I'm the CCO of Link Mobility, primarily up until now in Europe, but also expanding outside of Europe, with US being the first of those territories. Been in the business for 14-15 years on the commercial side for Link, based out of Stockholm.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Fredrik. And we've also got Richard van Anholt from CM.com. Richard?
Yeah, hey Sam. Yeah, my name is Richard van Anholt. I work for CM.com for already 6 years, and over the last 3 years focusing on the CPaaS market. I'm working within the R&D and product teams, and really focusing on the messaging channels, all its capabilities, and also looking at how we can bring that messaging capability towards the enterprises.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Richard. We've also got Krešo from Infobip.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Krešo Žmak, VP Products at Infobip. I'm with the company for the last 6 years. I focus on product developments, especially on the CPaaS layer, new emerging communication channels, as well as our SaaS portfolio.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Priyank, last but not least, from Kaleyra.
Hello everyone, my name is Parikh, and I'm responsible for business operations for Kaleyra in Americas. Became a part of Kaleyra when Engage and Kaleyra came together, and have been with the company since 2006. So I have been in the CPaaS industry for 15-16 years. And I'm here based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Just going to quickly move on to the a few of our takeaways from our research. So as the CPaaS market has evolved, they've obviously introduced multiple different technologies, and it's almost become, a CPaaS platform has almost become a one-stop shop for outbound communications, especially their abilities in the mobile space. One of the strategies, obviously, a number of these leading players that are with us today have implemented is supporting as many technologies as they possibly can. And we think that needs to continue moving forward. The range of technologies or communications channels, should I say, that are becoming available or being demanded even by end users or customers of brands and enterprises, is ever increasing. And we're seeing, more and more platforms support this. Previously companies like social media companies and other channels are opening up their doors, so to speak, for communications between the brands and the enterprises and customers, and CPaaS vendors are the guys that sit in the middle. Obviously, one thing our research identified, moving forward, is the importance of CDPs or customer data platforms. CPaaS is becoming an increasingly saturated market, especially in places like North America, and to attract brands and enterprises to their platforms, these guys need to find ways to provide value-added services, and we think customer data platforms are going to be a key area moving forward. These CDPs offer the ability to analyze consumer behavior, identify the best contact channels, as well as the best contact times to increase consumer engagement with brands and enterprises, which is something that they seek. So the more successful platforms in the market will be those that can offer that increased reach, increased engagement. And on the topic of engagement, one thing that we've seen over the last few years is the prevalence of rich media messaging formats such as RCS, as well as the OTTs, the messaging platforms, and apps that are increasingly agile, able to offer more rich media services. And from our research, this year we expect that traffic-wise, around 2%, or sorry, so say revenue-wise, 2% of the CPaaS market value will be attributable to these rich media messaging formats, mainly owing to their nascency, and there are some small issues with fragmentations among for larger enterprises. But within 5 years, we expect this to cover 20% of CPaaS revenue globally. And SMS, obviously ubiquitous and very, very well established. As the traffic growth slows somewhat to make room for other communication channels, rich media messaging formats going to be more demanded by SMEs, in our opinion, mainly because these smaller companies are less likely to be international and not to be impacted as much by the levels of fragmentation, regionally. So there's certainly aspects of the market moving forward that CPaaS vendors will adapt to gain more market share. Just a quick one for the future outlook. We quickly went over the global value of $8.6 billion this year, and growing. And again, it's all about differentiating their service and integrating these novel solutions. CPaaS players, the guys we have with me today, have been very agile in the way that they adopt new technologies, and they have clear strategies in identifying and integrating these new services to their CPaaS platforms. Obviously, one of the topics we're going to talk about today is this idea of conversational commerce. This includes not just retail payments and integrations with online retail outlets, but as well as P2P payments between users themselves, and how to go about supporting that. So we touched on CDPs and consumer behavior and preferences. Additionally, we've got the rise of voice and video. I think voice is certainly an area of telco that's been very much put aside over the last few years, as has video to some extent, but we're certainly seeing some more demand for emerging voice and video services that are disrupting the established side of the CPaaS market. And one final area we want to have a quick look at today is CCaaS, contact center as a service. Obviously, with CPaaS and their standing within the market, being able to stand between the brand, the enterprises, and the end users, these guys have done very, very well with the outbound communication, and they've been well positioned for a number of years to also handle the inbound communication. So there are opportunities in sort of migrating that way, and these guys have been making movements over the past few years to sort of end up in that space. And finally, just a quick, a market prime for disruption. On the right, we've just got a few areas that, again, that we feel that might be worth considering, that we have identified within our CPaaS research for that may disrupt the market moving forward. Merely providing communication services is not really what CPaaS is completely about these days. There's so many value-added services that make CPaaS platform a one-stop shop for brands and enterprises. Areas such as financial and e-commerce services, something that we, over the next 3 years, we're certainly going to see some disruption in terms of what CPaaS can offer to brands and enterprises. And industries, retail, e-commerce, travel, hospitality, are all already served by leading CPaaS players, mainly owing to their the broad solutions portfolio that they have on offer, and being able to attract the leading players there. And two-way communication is obviously going to be a big thing, which feeds very nicely into the idea of conversational commerce and the ability to leverage AI and machine learning to offer things like chatbots and conversational commerce services that are not overly established retail channels such as in-app or website or even brick and mortar stores. just moving on, what we'll do now is we're going to have a quick panel discussion between me and Fredrik, Richard, Krešo, and Priyank. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion on how this will work. So we can all turn our webcams on, if that's okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for joining. I think we should just head straight in. We'll start with Fredrik. Where do you see the CPaaS market heading over the next few years?
Well, I think I see immense growth in the CPaaS industry. We see more and more use cases coming up within CPaaS, and as you mentioned, Sam, I think we're looking at both outbound and inbound. That's already hygiene within CPaaS. And then for me, CPaaS a couple of years ago, that was a real-time API play. Nowadays, it's about how do we create customer engagement on top of CPaaS. It's not a pure API play anymore. It's about seeing something bigger, and there's nothing more important, or there are a few things more important at least than reaching out to your customers and having a meaningful dialogue with your customers, regardless of channel. And that's where I think we in the industry, we can make a huge difference to companies here, so that they are able to communicate more effectively to their customers.
Perfect.
So really exciting.
Richard, Richard, what do you think about the CPaaS market? Where do you think it's headed? What disruption do you see?
Well, I think one point really stuck with me when you mentioned that the CPaaS market is actually in the middle, right? And I agree with that point, because you're in the middle of some huge markets as well. If you think about the CCaaS market, the customer contact market, marketing orchestration, if you think about the conversational AI market, so huge markets, far larger than actually the CPaaS one. But if you think about all the toolings we are embedding in our CPaaS platforms, so not only CM.com, but also, of course, our let's say our competitors, all the vendors in the landscape, it puts us in the middle. But it also creates a lot of leverage for us to offer our clients, our enterprises, the best of all these worlds, right, from a single platform. So I think that's going to boost our growth for all our CPaaS vendors.
Perfect. And Krešo, from your point of view, how do you see the CPaaS market developing, over the next few years?
Yeah, we can look in three directions. One is the horizontal expansions within the new channels, as mentioned earlier. So there are new digital channels which are growing. So we still see growth of SMS. SMS is still the king, but we see the rise of the new OTT channels, and there are huge brands pushing that. In addition, voice and video are growing. They are being fueled by COVID and the whole new way of working. The other direction is expansion into SaaS, mentioned by colleagues here. Definitely contact center solutions, chatbots, and marketing automation tools as the three dominant ways serving conversational support, conversational marketing, conversational sales. And the third direction, which is very important, is the data part, so CDPs. So everything that was mentioned, channels and the SaaS produce a lot of data, which today is not being used by the brands in the optimal way. So having the CDP as the gluing element, as the main data element which connects the data and the customer, is something critical that brands must start implementing, and where we, the CPaaS providers, must enable them with.
Yes, completely agree. And last but not least, Priyank, from your point of view, agree, disagree, anything we've missed, on the future disruption of the CPaaS market?
Yeah, I would say absolutely agree with my industry colleagues. We do anticipate an exponential growth over the next 5 years in the CPaaS industry. And I would say one thing which we are very excited about is the overall potential of conversational commerce and customer service, which will be based on hard adoption of interactive and conversational messaging solutions and incorporation of new technologies like video, like voice within the CPaaS environment. That is where we do see an exponential growth, not just in terms of adoption by brands as well as the end users, but in fact also in evolvement of new use cases, which would be way more interactive and conversational in nature.
Perfect. I completely agree on the point of conversational commerce. So Richard, when it comes to conversational commerce, what are the challenges for a CPaaS market, and obviously the potential? Because you're in a position where, as you said, you're in between the brand, the enterprise, and the end users. You've obviously now got to include financial payment services. So how's CM.com gone about that, and how do you expect the market to reward you?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity is going to be huge, right? And we always look at the example we see in China, and we believe that will also be key for the other regions, EMEA and North America, definitely, and the rest of APAC. Actually, we already got involved in payments over 4 or 5 years ago, which helps us offering payments from our platform, because we saw that offering payments in a channel would be key to support conversational commerce, right? Because if you look at, and the most excellent example here is using Apple Business Chat, iMessage, right? Where you can do a conversational chat offering engagement with your client through a single channel, but also do the payment within that channel, right? So really frictionless. And if we see that from a capability perspective, expanding to other channels, and we know WhatsApp trials with payments. We've seen something today on Facebook. The other channels will follow. We already got Samsung Pay, Google Pay. But if you can actually offer that within the channel and keep it really frictionless, I think that's the true nature of conversational commerce. Now, before that time, when we got these capabilities, we can already engage and build conversational commerce flows. I'm fully convinced with that, based on CDP, based on marketing orchestration and conversational AI. And we've seen the first examples, right? But the opportunity is huge. And let me finish by saying that I think we captured the customer care part really well, right, within our space. We can do support service really through all these channels. But the conversational commerce part and the sales side is relatively new. And I think that's going to help us really for that exponential growth I just heard.
Perfect. And Krešo, how do you see conversational commerce moving forward? Obviously, you guys are in a position where, as CM is, to give us some insight on where you think this is headed.
Yeah, I would like to follow up. So the payments is one part of the conversational commerce. The additional elements is the whole advertising part, which is a huge opportunity. Basically, leading somebody to the funnel, to the communication part. Then, when we are within the communication, where CPaaS cloud providers are present, is the engagement part, where you need a marketing automation tool or engagement platform. And finally, what you also need is some form of catalog, of product catalogs. So those 4 elements form a conversational commerce rounded up with the payment. So if you are able to offer, and if the brand is using all of these components, that guarantees the success with conversational commerce. And as the colleague said, we already see engagement. Apple has it, Google has Google Payments and Google Business Messages. The funnel starts within Google Search or Maps and so on. But we don't need to forget about RCS, which is driven by the operators, where you have the payments within the operator ecosystem. So everybody's heading in the same direction, and here we are all to provide support for the brands across this journey with the tools along the way.
Perfect. Priyank, I guess I'm asking you the same question, really, but what potential do you see from the commerce side of messaging?
Yeah, I would say the potential is extremely high, and I would say currently we are in early stages, but it will evolve very quickly once the adoption of newer technologies, as my colleagues were talking about, whether it be WhatsApp, RCS, or Apple Business Chat, once that adoption goes higher, this will evolve very, very fast. The reason being, as my colleague said, it not only allows you to deliver richer content, which previously we could not, but it enables you to provide an end-to-end solution, including payment, by integrating Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, whatever payment technologies that you want to use. And what I would say is, during this last year and a half, I would say brands were forced to accelerate the adoption of digital campaigns and digital interaction with their customers, because with many, that had been the sole way of communicating. So that, in fact, accelerated growth of new use cases, making existing use cases more efficient and interactive. So the foundation for commercial conversational commerce has already been laid out, and I don't see that slowing down.
Perfect. And Fredrik, from your point of view, we're talking about the technologies on offer. Does it matter from your point of view what channels are being enabled by conversational commerce, or is it a case of supporting them all?
I think you need to support them all. I think that's very clear from my point of view, and I can only agree with what the previous speaker said. It's about taking the customer journey and being supportive towards businesses all the way. You need the product information management, you need the credit card payments, and you need the different Apple payment and Google Pay as well. So that's what we need to be able to support, and then we'll be able to convert in a much better way. I'm sorry, I need to.
No problem. And yeah, just a new question for you, Krešo. The data and the insights, we're talking about payments and what the preferred channels are, but surely there needs to be some more insight or enhanced insight to what consumers are after from a brand or an enterprise in terms of communication. From your point of view, how do you expect that space evolving?
So if we speak about data is critical for the success of any brand. So today brands have a lot of data, but it's unstructured, it's not shared between different business entities, different organizations. So consolidation of data and then preparation, transformation, and creating actionable data is what the brands must strive to do. You can have use cases like personalization, like segmentation, and actually all the AI, which is the next big thing, or the big thing happening right now, needs a lot of data. So data is critical for the success, for the future, to drive AI, to drive personalization, which is the key for exceptional customer experience. And then CDP is the key element for a successful data first approach for brands.
Perfect. Priyank, do you agree? Is there what sort of data do you think needs to be collected, and when would you stop collecting the data? When does it become too much?
So what I would say is that as far as data collection is concerned, right, data and analytics is what I would say enables a relevant and personalized communication. The one size fits all approach doesn't work anymore. In fact, the customers expect brands to communicate relevant in a relevant and a personalized way, which is where the data really plays a key role, because data is what enables you to personalize your communication. As Chris was talking about, target a specific audience group, right? All of those insights is resided within the data that you already have, but making more sense out of it, analyzing those data and converting those into actionable insights is what we see as kind of our current trend, and that's where we are focusing as well.
Perfect. And Fredrik, moving on to you, because I know Link are very big in this space, made a lot of market movements. What's the where's the return on investment? Is this something that your consumers have demanded, or is it, how do you plan to implement your CDP solutions?
Well, I think for us, we're coming at it from a customer perspective. I think that it's important to keep in mind the customer, and we're here to help the customer. So the CDP for us play an important role in helping our customers communicate more effectively. It's what they get out of this, and we have to make sure that they are able to sort out on an aggregate level. Where should we communicate? How should we communicate? And how can we then take the customer through the whole journey and be able to not only send more timely notifications, but how are we better in marketing, and how do we provide a better customer support to this end user? So that's where we are with the CDP approach, and super happy that we have that in Link, because I see that our customers are asking for this more and more every day.
Perfect. And from you, Richard, obviously, customer data has obviously been a big part of CM for a while. What sort of feedback do you get from your customers? Is it essentially more data, more information, more insight?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And what Fredrik was saying is we didn't come up with this ourselves in isolation, right? The questions were coming actually from our customer base. We're saying that, so those are awesome tools, right, to do marketing. So, and then what do we do after, right? So these questions were coming to us 3-4 years ago, and that kind of developed into the CDP environment, which is now a kind of a market standard, right, for all of us. And if you offer that to your clients in such a way that they can work with it themselves, maybe with a little bit of support professional services, etc., they can actually go to our CDP and make the right segmentations. But it's really about capturing touching points for your clients, the consumers, right? And making sure that you capture that, because we can't capture it. We can also capture external sources data, which will create a customer profile, 360 customer profile, right? What did they buy? What's their favorite music, etc., etc. So it's not really us who are inventing this. It's the clients who are asking, could you support that, right? And stay on the same platforms, because this is where the magic is. They stay on a single platform, right? And I think this is where, let's say, the bonus is for the CPaaS vendors towards our enterprise clients. You can stay on the same platform, you can choose your channels, and you can configure the marketing campaigns based on segmentations, based on the data we captured. So I can get really excited about this and don't stop anymore, but I think this would be my answer, Sam.
Perfect. And just sort of a quick follow-up question, Richard. How do you demonstrate these capabilities to a potential new client of yours? I mean, it's quite complicated to sort of, you know, shrink down all of this information or what you're doing and how it benefits the customer. I mean, how would you put what the benefits of customer data in, you know something simple that even I can understand?
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't think it's complex. And like I think I told you as well, if you can do PowerPoint, you can do this as well, right? It's non-coding, right? To use that word, it's a buzzword, but it's true, right? So it's really drag and drop. It's really about a little bit of sense, and you need to know your business, right? We're not in your business, the enterprise business. They need to know their business. But I think the best example I can offer you is the way we supported the Formula One event in the Netherlands this year. Which were really supported through our CDP, our marketing campaigns, and omni-channel, right? So fans of the Formula One event bought tickets. We registered them, and of course we offered the tickets, but we could also, during the event, engage with them, help them out with transportation, food and drinks, payments, etc. And so all from that heart, which is the CDP. And if they preferred Apple Business Chat, we were engaging with them through Apple. There was a lot of WhatsApp, of course, in the Netherlands, but just to give you an idea, for those type of events, continuous engagement with the fans visiting an event was actually triggered from that CDP. Yeah.
Very interesting. I think one of the things that obviously we talk about here is CDPs and preferred channels. I think one of the channels that's been maybe neglected or was maybe certainly pushed aside by the majority has been things like voice and video. I think maybe there's, you know, focus on messaging where SMS is well established, it does the job, not really any room for innovation over SMS, which is, you know, quite obvious. So people are looking towards the rich media stuff, but voice and video, it seems sometimes to get missed out. I've seen a few good solutions out there on personalized video, obviously voice. There's a lot of noise around things like flash calling for authentication. I'm sure everyone has their opinions on that. But you know, over the next few years, if I can ask Priyank first, where do you see, you know, the innovation coming from there? Is there room for innovation? Is there room for some more revenue streams?
I would say absolutely yes. I would say SMS has been kind of a core kind of pillar stone for CPaaS technology as the technology evolved. But at the same time, CPaaS did kind of crave for more innovation, and that is what newer messaging technologies, especially incorporation of voice and video, provides to the CPaaS world. Because when you think about it, you have applicable use cases in all industry where you could not service those use cases just through SMS or MMS per se. You look at different use cases like authentication or know your customer verification for someone in financial services. Think about for insurance, right, where you can make a video call to your insurance contact service agent and show them real damage in real time for your vehicle. That was not feasible. Those things were not even feasible given the technology stack we had CPaaS a couple of years ago. Even use cases like interacting with your virtual stylist, telehealth. It doesn't matter the industry, even something like recruitment and human resources. Nowadays, all the interviews are over video, right? So there are numerous use cases, and in fact, what we would say is the emergence of new use cases in video and voice will in fact enable us to realize the true potential of CPaaS.
Perfect. And Fredrik, sort of the same question when it comes to voice and video. what are your thoughts on the future of it? Is it easy to implement? Have you got any feedback from any of your clients on whether voice and video is something they're looking, to get more involved with?
I think we're starting to see it. We've started to see it during the pandemic, Sam, that the voice and video is coming on strong. And I think for us as CPaaS players with our traditional customers that we have, this is going to be something that we're able to really take advantage of. I see. I'm even more excited for video than I am for voice. To be honest, I think when it comes to video, I think it has play in, for example, retail, and we'll be able to achieve some really good results there if we're thinking about the customer journey again and what kind of customer needs we are meeting. The retail part will be super exciting, and so will travel, so will hospitality. There are endless possibilities here that we as CPaaS players will be able to think a traditional video player or a traditional voice player wouldn't necessarily think of, or think that there is a huge potential there.
Perfect. And yeah, Richard, it's the same sort of question really, but when it comes to voice and video services, how easy is it to get a client set up with voice and video? And one of the solutions I've seen recently has been the idea of a personalized video and introduction to maybe a new service. And the idea is that you can add their name, their address, whatever it is. How easy is that for a CPaaS vendor to implement if one of your clients requests it?
Yeah, no, I think for both there's really room for those two channels on our platform. They definitely need to be there as an integral part, and also as an integral part in our own SaaS solutions or third-party SaaS solutions. I think the easiest one I see for now really to offer to our clients is voice plus automation, right? If you think about the conversational AI space and the speech to text conversion, how that improved, and we actually apply per today already for a number of clients per today where we have an existing chatbot already up and running in a text environment, and we now can also offer that in a voice environment based on our voice capabilities and the chatbot capabilities. And that's really easy to offer to our clients who already have those chatbots up and running for their services. And I like that. And actually the conversion rate and the UX experience of those consumers using that voice bot was really good. So that's looking very promising.
Perfect. Fredrik will be rejoining us in a second, but Krešo, if I could just sort of point you in the same direction with voice and video. How do you feel the emergence of new channels? Like, I'm not going to say new channels as RCS, because obviously RCS is actually quite old, but the emerging channels that have a lot more room to grow, should I say? What role are they going to play in voice and video?
So voice is still dominant. I know you say it's still 50% customer support is done over voice. Same thing goes in Europe and the rest of the world. So we see growth of WhatsApp and other digital channels in customer support, but still voice is dominant. So as a CPaaS provider, we must offer voice. And as all of us here, we come from the digital channels and from SMS. So we have voice and video as a channel in our portfolio. Where we see the growth with our clients is actually what was mentioned, the voice bots. That's a big thing. So replacement of IVRs, because I don't know who on this call wants to talk with an IVR anymore and press keys. So the voice bots is the next big thing. You will be talking with a machine again, but with the improvement of AI, with the improvement of linguistic science within the voice bot, it's growing. Video and voice, and coming to your question, so within the digital channels, you have short voice or video messages, and we see a lot of adoption around that. For example, in LATAM, it's very common, and with my daughter and son, they record the messages on WhatsApp. They don't speak, they just record the voice message, and we see that as a very useful. I know I know we are working with the big ride-sharing company, Global. They have implemented the customer support basically based on this, that over WhatsApp the drivers record the message for their customer support and they get back the response. So we see growth of both channels, video especially, and also the embedded voice and video within the communication channels. What is on the horizon and what the colleagues have mentioned is augmented reality, definitely. This is something we started exploring because that offers the next level of customer experience within customer support. If you are able to have somebody, you know, somebody explaining you how a device works, how your appliance works, that's a huge improvement in the customer experience. Again, powered by AI.
Perfect, perfect. I mean, we're talking about all of these different technologies, voice bots, RCS, voice video, all these different things. And obviously, one of the key areas that the CPaaS vendors like yourselves have done really well in is having it all in one location for brands and enterprises. And obviously, the next logical step, you know, that you guys identified a few years ago was moving from just solely outbound communication to inbound communication and giving brands and enterprises, you know, essentially a single platform for them to operate it. If you just, they take it as, you know, just as an example, you have a customer that comes in with an issue. It could come in through your phone, it could come through a voice call or through RCS or through a chatbot, all those different things. The idea is that then you can communicate with or the brand and enterprise and then manage the outbound communications to respond to this initial query. I mean, how has this idea of CCaaS, contact center as a service trend progressed? I'd like to sort of offer that question to Fredrik first of all.
Thank you, Sam. Can you hear me, by the way? I seem to be having some issues. I think for Link Mobility, we're not yet in the CCaaS space, but we're definitely watching what is happening in the CCaaS space, and we're partnering up and we're learning in the CCaaS space as such. But it's hugely interesting, of course. I think it will be a natural part of what all of us do in a couple of years' time, and there will be immense growth there because, of course, if you handle the notifications, if you handle the marketing, the CCaaS will be a natural part of this over time. You know, mixing in what we talked about, the conversational commerce, it's only natural. So I think we'll all have our finger in that pie, so to speak.
Perfect. And Richard, sort of the same question really. You know, how do you see the progression of inbound and outbound communications and the management of a single platform sort of evolving over the next couple of years? What are the next steps?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I think the capabilities of those inbox CCaaS capabilities, even within the CPaaS space, are huge, right? So they're not basic capabilities anymore. They're really on par with the CCaaS specialist. If you think about the features they support, and we were kind of pushed towards that solution because we got WhatsApp and other two-way messaging channels coming in, RCS, Facebook messages, etc. But at the same time, it forces also to provide more features within that solution to stay on par with the specialist. And I think that's the route we're going to see in combination with mixing it with automation in front before handing it over to the human agent in that CCaaS solution. So this is not new, it's already ongoing, right? We already support that. You don't want to have all your incoming queries towards the human agent. If we can catch something through automation, awesome, right? Let's do that. Voice in those solutions, as we addressed, again with automation in front of it. So I think building the features in those CCaaS solutions, which is already ongoing, will be continued. And I think that's the way forward. And there will be a space for the true specialist serving the huge contact centers with maybe 600 people, and the CPaaS vendors who can offer the range between 1 and 499, right? Of agents. So there's a lot of room, but I think it's really about specialization and building features, etc., and supporting those conversational channels. Yep.
Perfect. And Krešo, sort of the same question. How important, as Richard said, are these communication channels? We sort of touched on the fact that obviously as a CPaaS vendor, one of your big strategies is to support as many channels as possible. Does that translate into the outbound communication side of things as well?
And so I think that the key is having a platform, and the platform means you have any channel which you would like to use, really any imaginable channel, including all the APAC channels. Then having a call center solution where you can have a conversation with your end user, having a chatbot, and having a marketing automation or engagement tool. Everything within a single platform. So this is the approach we've taken, and that's showing results. Also, the platform means it can be open, accessible via the API for a startup, for a small shop, for a developer, but also it can serve several thousand agents if needed using visual tools. So this combination of API first and then visual tools for enterprise grade clients is something proven to be very, very useful, because in that way you can serve quite broader audience with the same solution. But the channels are still, what we see is the channels, especially the new digital channels, are the ones driving the adoption, and then on top it comes all the features of cost saving, improving customer satisfaction, lowering the agent fatigue, and so on, which is critical for CCaaS.
Perfect. And if we could just, just because of time, we'll move on. Just the last couple of questions before we offer our closing remarks. What would you say are the most immediate challenges for a CPaaS vendor in the market at the moment? What's your most immediate concern? If we start with Richard.
Oh, you started with me. I think because we're in the middle. Like I want to come back to that theme, right? So we're in the middle of some huge markets and technologies, and some are already there, or technology solution, and some already there for a couple of years. But what I really like are use cases, right? Success use cases using a channel, with whether it's a customer contact, whether it's automation, whether it's embedded payments. I think within the industry, that's really helping us a lot. The capabilities are there, right? And we will scale them. We will onboard new channels and the features, and we'll make the features available, etc., etc. The CDP is now really resonating, which is a good thing. We're focused on marketing, customer care, and sales. But I think the industry on itself will really be helped with more and more use cases, right? Whether it's RCS, to name one. I think that will help all of us, because great use cases from our competitors can be leveraged by ourselves, right? So the challenge to me really is about having great use cases which you can replicate throughout the industry, throughout vendors, throughout enterprises, right?
Perfect. And moving on to you, Priyank. From a Kaleyra's point of view, what are the challenges that you see at the moment?
So I'm going to rephrase a metaphor that I've heard my CEO of Sejari, who's a sailor. The metaphor is smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. So there will be challenges. In fact, it is these challenges that will enable us to further refine and provide a seamless experience, or enable brands to provide seamless experience to their customers using CPaaS as a technology. So the challenge that we would have is, with the constant evolvement of new use cases and new technologies that we have been discussing on this call, providing that seamless environment and that unified experience to customers is kind of a key challenge that we are looking at, because it's very easy for us to incorporate 10 challenges and provide a fragmented experience. Not doing that and providing a unified experience is the challenge we are looking at. And doing that without compromising your quality, service, and delivery expectations that you have already set with your customers.
Perfect. Fredrik, I'll ask you the same question. More immediate challenges, obviously the most pressing ones. So I'm just wondering, what challenges are Link seeing at the moment? I think you might be on mute, Fredrik. I think we might have lost Fredrik. If we could move to you, Krešo, for the question. What are the challenges that Infobip is seeing at the moment?
We see opportunities. So basically, it is as colleagues mentioned. So there, the space is broadening. So we are introducing new channels. We are entering the software space with contact centers and chatbots. We are going to the CDP. So Having a modular platform is the necessity actually to have the capability that you can serve your clients with small modules to help them grow from one use case and then expanding into other use cases. That's more a challenge from the architectural point of view how things are set up. But if done properly, we are now in the position to offer and to serve different use cases and help our clients grow with super seamless addition of new channels, adding a chatbot in a couple of hours, etc. So I think that is one of the challenges we have managed to overcome and make it an opportunity.
Perfect. Fredrik, now that you're back with us, do you have any comments on the challenges that Link are facing, in the near future?
Yeah, I think there is a challenge to meet all the customers' demands in this space. This is rapidly growing, 45,000 customers, and they want to communicate in a better way with their customers. So it's definitely a challenge, but more importantly, I see it as an opportunity, and I see what can we put on top of the hygiene that is the CPaaS. What are the solutions we offer on top? And I think that's also where we'll see. Us and our peers will be differentiating based on what our customers are telling us. So we'll see different flavors of this. We see the building out in different ways, where some will be super focused on P2A use cases. Some will go more heavier into the commerce space. So it's those are the challenges, and those are the strategy discussions that we need to have internally, and to understand. We cannot do everything super well. So where are we going to be focusing besides the hygiene, so to speak?
Perfect. I think what we'll do now, we'll just do a bit of closing remarks. I think the conversation we've had so far is touched on very many different points. I think it's done very well in focusing on the future of the CPaaS market and what is going to be moved forward. So I thank you for all of your opinions. I just think the last step, we'll just go through one by one. Closing remarks on the CPaaS market, what are you most excited about? And if we start with Krešo, what are you most excited about for the next 5 years?
We see huge potential, as emphasized throughout the call. CPaaS is an exceptional space with growth in every direction. So new channels, conversational commerce, conversational support, chatbots driven by AI, voice bots, contact centers going with blending of voice and digital, everything powered by the data. So there's a lot of potential, really, and we see the results, and we see the results with our clients, which proves we are going in the right direction. So that gives us strength to go in this way, which is a great thing. That we are in a super big space with many players, with big names entering, but there is it's super exciting, and it feels good when we are capable of helping our clients grow.
Perfect. And Richard, same question. What are you most excited about for the CPaaS market?
I think the excitement is really in a couple of years, we'll be saying to our friends and family that a lot of engagement they had with their utility provider, their banks, or any other businesses, right, was actually handled through our platforms, right? Whether there was chatbot, conversational commerce, etc., right? So because 10 years ago we said, all our text message you receive came through our platform. I think within a couple of years we'll be saying to our friends and family, actually your engagement was handled through our platforms. And I think this is going to be the exciting place where a lot of those conversational flows will be handled by our platform with their capabilities, whether it's CDP or channels, the marketing part and the automation part. I think this is where the excitement is, that through our enterprises we will reach and support a lot of consumers and personal lives.
Perfect answer. And Fredrik, ask you next. What were you most excited about?
Thanks, Sam. I think for me, it's the end-to-end customer journey. that we'll be able to supply to our customers. I mean, from the marketing all the way, like I've mentioned before, through the commerce part, through the support, through the return, through the next purchase. Basically, when you can tie the conversational commerce down to the next purchase and you start all over again, that's when you have closed the loop. That's when we've been able to provide an end-to-end service, and that's when we'll be super happy to see that during the next years, I think.
Excellent, excellent. And Priyank, again, same question, what are you most excited about?
Yeah, I would say, as I said in one of my earlier response, what we are very excited about is that in the next couple of years, conversational commerce and customer service will realize its true kind of potential, and that will be enabled by higher adoption of newer technologies, which will evolve into newer use cases. So the way we interact, the way brands interact with customers right now, right, there are numerous use cases that will completely change it and make it way more interactive than what it is right now, and that is what excites us most.
Perfect, perfect. Well, guys, thank you very much for your time. I know it's very valuable, so thank you for sharing your thoughts with me today. If any of our attendees have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us with info@juniperresearch.com, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, Krešo from Infobip, Richard from CM, Priyank from Kaleyra, and Fredrik from Link Mobility. Thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And yes, enjoy the rest of your days. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sam.
Bye.
Bye-bye.